Bam! What is up with the squad? It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies in the building. Y'all know what it is. Welcome in, welcome in. It's the first live in a long time for PoliSports Tea Time. Be wise, PoliSports Tea Time. Y'all know what it is. If you hear, you already know. You already know. This is fandom. This fandom is no longer passive. Okay. WNBA Sports Highlights. What's up, y'all? Coming in the door, hit the like and the share. They both right there. It's time for our PoliSports conversation. Our first PoliSports conversation of the week. Y'all know it's Education Tuesday. Let's get it. So, in 2026, we already know everything is shifting, right? Everything is shifted, okay? If you win the sports labor, role of the fan, you can't just show up to be cheering no more, all right? You got to show up and apply pressure. To amplify truth, you got to advocate for athletes carrying these leagues, the culture, and the community without partnership in the profit they generate. For decades, y'all, for decades, fans were taught athletes exist to perform, not influence conditions. Drafted, coached, marketed, debated, never empowered. High Life, liked and shared because they both right there. What's up, High Life? But sports always been political. Surprise, it's always been political. Olympic podium, pro arena, national broadcast. Athletes didn't choose the stage chose them. They are symbols, revenue engines, cultural disruptors, whether institutions admit it or not. So today we're gonna tear down the biggest lie in sports. Just play the game. We gonna care. We gonna tear up. Just shut up and dribble. We gonna tear all that up. Because just play the game was never a neutral phrase. It was instruction. It's containment. It's a warning label for athletes whose power make systems uncomfortable, right? So we're gonna reframe the assignment. This ain't a show. This is alignment, education, and action. Because in 2026, fan advocacy isn't optional. It's overdue. Especially when Black women athletes are celebrated for excellence but punished for dominance the moment it can't be controlled. Lock in, open the chat because we finna get into it. And when it's time to break down the leverage, and the system behind the curtain, there's only one voice I'm bringing in, Political Lil. What's up?
All right. Thank you, Auntie Sess, and peace and blessings to everyone that's locked in right now. First of all, I want to thank all of you all for riding with us in 2025 and leaning into some very uncomfortable truths and for showing up for the equity conversations, just for believing in the journey that we are both embarking on. But it's 2026, and this is the year we need to move from conversation to collective action. We're no longer just learning about the intersection of sports and power. We need to step in to our roles as fans and become advocates and activists for these Black women and on behalf of all the Black and brown women, demanding equity, partnership, and revenue sharing in women's sports. And so that's the same model that's normalized, with the men, and it's time for the women to get their due. So here's the framework. Sports and power have always been allies. Institutions assign roles to athletes, the star, the villain, the hero, the problem, the brand, the debate, the headline, the distraction, and the narrative too. So those roles dictate, who gets elevated and who gets disciplined, who gets ignored, who getting overexposure to serve certain agendas, beyond the athlete's autonomy. And so when athletes follow certain scripts like nationalism, capitalism, league profit, media entertainment, and sponsor safety, the system rewards them with amplification. But the moment an athlete alters their assignment, refuses to be a symbol, or organizes labor, as we are seeing in the WNBA, speaks about equity, demands a partnership, or just pauses participation in some nonsense, the system doesn't just get uncomfortable, it mobilizes against them. So, when these athletes, long as they doing their assigned roles, being humble, head bowed, everything is pretty cool. But if they step outside that assigned role, they and reveal that sports are not neutral, not purely based on merit in any way, not attached from state power, media influence, or economic extraction, then you poke the bear, they bring the whole den out. And so for Black women especially, these threats are more than a storyline. The hierarchy of race, gender, labor control narrative, ownership, that's just becoming, institutions' way of tolerating excellence, but downplaying, any type of dominance. So we need to get more involved as fans to help these young ladies that are out here, these Black and brown women that are trying to get their leagues, aligned with a partnership. Only fans can bring the kind of pressure. Now, right now, we know that the January 9th, the deadline passed, and they working together, but not even talking on the phone, but trying to get a deal. I still don't think there'll be a deal made. Either party doesn't want to see the bend. And so the fans have to be the third level, step in.
So, Lil, can you help us understand what just happened? So the January 9th, no deal was made. And now I hear that they saying something about they've agreed on a moratorium, right? Where they're going to continue some negotiations, but no free agency stuff. So what does that actually mean for what it is they actually doing? Are these still stall tactics? What is this? What does this mean in the is this lockout? Is this strike? Where are we at right now with the moratorium?
Well, actually, it's both sides looking to the public and to the government as if they operating and working in good faith. Nobody want to jump up and say, well, we gonna strike, and the other person, well, we're gonna lock out. I was hoping that the league would go ahead and do a lockout so that the counter move could be a battle in court. Because I just don't understand. You got a league, you got the NBA, you got the WNBA. I just can't understand why they can't treat the women like they treating the men. When you look down the timeline, and we're gonna do a show on this. When you look down the timeline, the women have moved into the point nearly the same way the men moved into the point of being able to get BRI, but for some reason, I think it's just because the league is predominantly Black females that they just don't want to bend. And I'm kind of disappointed in the union as well, asking for 30%. Like 30%. They should be working towards a 50-50 split, like the men have, because even if the women, I thought they would come out with a number like 40%. And then I was hoping they would ask for a 10% set aside to go to the pioneers of the game, because they don't have any benefits set up for them. They had a lot of, they were underpaid. They need some kind of medical benefits as well. I'm talking about the pioneers, the original women, first 10, 15 years of the league. There seems to be no conversation, about that at all. But I don't think, because you don't have a CBA, I don't think you can make the free agency move. And, so things are kind of in limbo, so to speak. But at some point, I would think 90 days out or so, somebody going to have to do something. You either going to have to call for a strike, or you're going to have to do a lockout.
Because at some point, these TV stations and these streaming stations is going to want to know, are we playing basketball, or we got to figure out some reruns to put on? So it's at some point, right? At some point, we're going to have some type of conversation, right?
Right.
So, okay. And I see Green Thumb coming in. Okay. What's up, Jackie? I see you in the chat. What's up, fam? Green Thumb. And I'm asking everybody in the chat this. Have you ever been told to stay silent or stay in your lane when you challenge something that wasn't fair? Y'all let me know. It don't just happen in sports. But Green Thumb, I see you jumping in. You saying they originally asked for 40, but tried compromising at 30. They should have, I agree, they should have be at 30. Yeah, to me, I would ask for 60.
No,
I would ask for, I asked for the 60 and back it down. 60 and then back it down. But I asked for the 60, and I say, and my thinking with asking for the 60 is because you owe some years. And so, like how you talking about these pioneers, I need 60% of this for the next 5, and then we'll drop it down to 50, right? Or, you know, so that now I can now take this money to these women that put the 28 years into this and make sure that they have the medical, make sure that they have some type of pension or whatever is going on, some type of reparations going back to all of these women that started this thing up, right? So to me, I need a little bit more than the 50% because you've been getting a little bit more than 50% for 30 years. So the least you can do for me is give me a little bit over that 50% for 5 years. 5 years.
Yeah.
As we in this growth right now, right?
Yeah, especially if you're gonna make it a long term, you know, something they talking about a 10-year deal.
Well, not only that, but over the next 4 years, 4 to 5 years, y'all are gonna have some more teams come in that are gonna pay this buy-in into the league where you're gonna see some cash. So this is why I'm saying I need a little bit more than 50% for a little bit because you've been doing this for 28 years. So I'm gonna need you gonna have to cash me out. Cash me out, homie. Yeah, I've been told this all my life, considering I got indigenous blood and I look like a white person. I hate that for you, White Wolf. That just took me someplace else for a whole nother conversation we can have. But I put a pin in that. But I understand what you're saying, and I've seen that dictated on TV more now. Where it's more visual for me what your people went through than just somebody telling me about a trail of tears or something. It's way more. It was way deeper. It was the psychological. What happened there was some cold work. That's some cold work. That's a whole nother conversation. But great point, and I understand how you can relate. I agree when they tell athletes to just play the game. They're telling them to shut up. And also, look, Angel got treated for just telling the truth. Half game suspension. But yeah, I'm not gonna play. You understand? Yeah, half game suspension. What is that? Just still keeping control, keeping me in my place. But women athletes, black and brown women athletes especially, are never allowed to be neutral. Our visibility is read as race, gender, and power all at once, right? Winning isn't the issue. Winning loudly is. So emotion gets reframed as like attitude. He got attitude. I can't think of the last time I really seen somebody on TV rolling their neck, like, you know. But leadership gets reframed as ego, right? Consistency gets reframed as threat. Excellence is tolerated when it can be sold. And this is what we got to move away from. Excellence being tolerated when it can be sold. Dominance gets disciplined because it shifts hierarchy. So the response isn't celebration, it's narrative control, tone policing, selective coverage, moving the goalposts. That pressure is not accidental. This is containment, right? And the moment the system tightens its grip, that's where the resistance shows up. Let's see. And so I've been told that while using my brain power without adequate compensation. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. They want you to be brilliant. They want you to be brilliant for minimum wage.
Exactly.
You understand? They want rocket science service on the server budget. You understand? That's what they want you to do. They want you to come and reinvent the wheel. Give me all your great ideas. Sign this paper. Anything you think of while you in here on our property, using our paperwork, using our computer, belong to us. Sign. We want all your brilliance. We want on anything you think of here. And then when you leave, after we see if we get a profit or not, we're going to see if we handing out bonuses. It just don't happen in basketball. It happen everywhere.
Yeah, this is going on across all industries.
Exactly. And that's why this fight is so important. But Leo, how does the dominance of black and brown women in sports threaten the myth of meritocracy?
Well, the dominance of black women in sport, that exposes the limits of this so-called meritocracy. And you hear this a lot in political circles now. We're going to do everything on merit. This has never been a meritocracy. It's always been an advantage to a certain group of people. So it reveals that the talent and hard work don't automatically guarantee you recognition or advancement because of systemic biases you have to deal with. You got racial and gender stereotypes and that gatekeeping, especially in the leadership roles. They often block, your true ability to gain any equity. So the success, it threatens the narrative that the system is fair by showing that merit is only value when it aligns with power structures' comfort level. so long as you being obedient and yes, a bossing and not making no noise or challenging anything, then they ready to cheer you on. Like Nafia Collier, I think she was the darling of the league, except for that 5-minute paper chase. Now she getting plenty of side eyes.
Oh, let me tell you something. When this right here, when popping that paper would change your life, oh, they switched up on the physical real quick, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
They were like, oh, she didn't know she was black. Let her show her. No, Nafisa knew exactly who she was. She knew exactly who she was and what she was doing. And I think she's enjoying what she's doing right now. But the important thing right now is that we make sure that Unrivaled continues to stay successful. Because if not, that's what they're going to throw back in their face. So when Paige is out here saying, I'm going to make $350,000 this year, and that's my entire rookie contract, then they come back and they say, well, Unrivals, ooh, they not watching like they used to. Viewership is down. All that. Make sure, hey, turn Unrivaled on all your devices. On every device that you're streaming on. Watch it, rewatch it, record it, just cut it on at nighttime when you're going to sleep. Make sure it stays successful because it's part of what the players have as their leverage.
Exactly.
So the more that they can downplay it, the more that they can make it seem like it can't be successful, the more power that they give the WNBA. You understand? You got to support Unrivaled because it's about supporting the players. Even if 3-on-3 ain't your thing. Even if you don't really, I told you, I really don't want to watch the Lunar Hours, but I got to tune in to be able to do recaps and everything. But I also have to tune in to make sure that I'm showing the support for these women to be able to have ownership and pathways to equity and be able to control their narratives. Right? This is why all of this is important and all of these things go together. Upshot, I don't know what channel they're going to be on, but I'm going to cut it on. You understand? Project B, I don't know if they getting off the ground or not because they were signing players and they just went radio silent. So I don't know what's going on with Project B, but we got to make sure that we support these other opportunities that these women have, especially those that are here stateside, so that they have leverage to keep pushing back in this CBA fight that they're in. When you see black and brown women, y'all let me know in the chat. When you see black and brown women athletes dominate, do you feel inspired, or do you notice the media trying to humble their story? See, to me, it's inspiring. It's inspiring. It's inspiring to see somebody that looks like me do something I've never seen somebody do before. Like that, it was a lady, and I can call her seasoned because I'm seasoned. Okay, I got enough salt and pepper to say seasoned. So she's seasoned. This lady, about 61 years old, became the first black woman dart champion. You see, first time. But I ain't never thought about playing no darts. Never. But now I might go out and throw some darts because I seen that. Inspiration. Being turned on to things that you didn't see before. That's why this stuff matters. I feel inspired and ignore the media narrative. Me too. And then I just try to push the story out. Anytime. Like this women's baseball league that they bring in, I can't wait.
Me
wait.
Too.
Bring it along so I don't even like baseball like that. For real, I usually just watching for the World Series. But I'm going to cheer these women on. I've been trying to get more into soccer. Why? Because it's a women's league doing their thing. That's why. So I want to make sure that we keep calling out the opportunities for us to support these type of businesses and stuff that's going on. Now I hate baseball, but I'll turn the TV on. Okay, thank you, Green Thumb. Thank you, everybody. Okay, softball. I'm trying to get into the softball. But the thing about the baseball was, I remember the young lady when she pitched in the World Series. I can't think of her name.
Monique.
Monique, yeah. Monet. Right. Yeah, Monet, the baseball player. Now she was talking about how important it is that it's not just softball that she's gonna play. Monet Davis, that was her name. Yeah. It's not just softball. She's gonna now play with some women who also just love baseball, and that's different than softball. So I love that they're gonna have that opportunity. But Leo, talk about this. Why doesn't power fear excellence but fear losing control? Right? Why is excellence tolerated but dominance punished? And then how does that punishment show up? Like how can we recognize it?
The whole thing comes down to, the loss of the control. But see, excellence can be celebrated because it fits usually within the established rules and narrative. But dominance is different because it challenges authority and it disrupts expectation. When you think about how upset they were the year that Caitlin came into the league, but Asia Wilson just absolutely killed it. She made sure that there was not going to be a combination of an MVP and rookie, which is what they wanted and what they were expecting to happen. So, and then the punishment, it kind of show up in subtle ways, criticism, unfair media narratives, unequal opportunity, biases, even public scrutiny, and the aim is to remind dominant athletes of their place. And for Black women, of course, this often includes racialized and gendered attacks that we've seen in the 2024 season. And they do this to limit their visibility and career advancement despite their achievement. Just like Caitlin walking in and having all 4 of the major WNBA sponsorship deals, that should have been, that saturation should have been for the best player in the world, especially coming off, what she did in the Olympics. And I just thought that was so distasteful and unfair that they were so focused on trying to gentrify the league at that time that, Asia wasn't, part of, she's in a few of the league things, but for you not to have her do the Wilson basketball thing, when that's her last name, I thought that was kind of stupid, and then, all this controversy, even with, her trying to, get her signature shoe out, which is something that should have happened around the time of her first championship. So all these kind of things, and see, the problem is that back planning, what happened with Caitlin them even coming in the league, because it was supposed to be her Page and Haley Van Lith that they were planning for to expand the basketball. So those kind of things, they just, I don't know what it is about people in the hierarchy at the top, but they have an unnatural desire to control not only Black people, but especially Black women. They partnering with Black men, but when it comes to Black women, they done fell all out the seat and, just fighting it. I don't know what it is, but that kind of loss of fear, loss of control has just got them all baffled, because I'm gonna tell you all one factor a lot of people don't know. When they finally did give the men the 50-50 BRI split, the owners have, even though it's a 50-50 split, they have made tremendous amounts of money since they did that partnership. And you talking about the same organization can't turn around and look at women and do the same thing for them. That's where I think a court battle would be a better option, because you producing the same product. It's still basketball entertainment. That's the product. It's just that the men are doing it over here, women are doing it over here. And for you to not even desire to partner with them, to make sure they have a same type of compensation. We all know it's not going to be the same amount, so don't jump in with that one. But I don't know. I just find it very odd. So.
But listen, it's something that's acceptable everywhere, right? When they talk about even in corporate America, women and women, and then Black and brown women especially, are paid grossly less rates, pay rates than their men counterparts, 30, 40, 50% in their face sometimes, right? Doing the exact same job, same job in the same industries, sitting at this same table, sharing ideas, working together, coming up with solutions. Salary's not the same. So this is why this fight is so important. But also, I want to say too that let me see what's the best way to say it. Okay, well, sports have always used symbolism, right? And it only becomes dangerous when it's intentional. And this is what we got to get our focus on, is the symbolism, because these women aren't just being watched for performance anymore. They're being watched for influence. Visibility turns into power when it becomes leverage. And so this is what I'm talking about. This is where we gotta step up. When fans amplify the message, that's when the attention becomes pressure. One athlete can be reframed, ignored, disciplined. Aligned athletes force a response. So alignment signals structure. Structure signals agenda, and agendas disrupt control. And we've seen alignment within the WNBA before. We saw it with the getting Warnock elected, with them getting the ownership change at Atlanta, right? We've seen them organize. We've seen them rock the vote shirt, not rock the vote, but go vote, or whatever their shirt was. I think it just said maybe simply vote, or whatever that was, right? We've seen this group of 160, 70 women organize and be powerful. That's why women's sports gets threatening when it organizes, because we've seen what the power can do. It flipped the ownership of a team. It flipped. Did it flip the House or the Senate of a state? I don't remember.
It was the Senate with Warnock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Warnock. Yeah. Okay. So organization exposes labor value without permission. So collective action shifts the conversation from emotion to economics. And this, when you get to talking about the money, that's when that cha-ching, cha-ching, when the cash app stop hitting, that's when people start listening. That when people's ears perk up. When that we shall, they hear you, but they ain't listening. But let the cash app stop hitting. You hear me? Let the direct deposit stop falling. Let the sales drop. Let the let the arenas empty out. Let the jerseys stay on the show. Then they perk up. They hey, what's wrong? What can we do for you? How can we make it better? You know how they do, you know? So,
new attitude.
You get a new attitude. Exactly. So it go from admiration to demand. Once fans see power move together, the illusion cracks. And a cracked illusion is harder to contain than any single voice. That's what we got to know. But why does power panic when athletes align instead of act alone, Lil?
You know, what power feels collective action, you know, because when you think about it, aligning athletes amplifying their voice and influence, that makes it harder to ignore or control them. So when athletes act alone, you know, it's easier for institutions to manage it, dismiss it, just like Kathy been dismissing it all these years, and tokenize the impact. But once Collier spoke up and they got together and everybody, got online, I'm in agreement, I'm giving 10s and this, that, and the other, all unity threatens the narrative of individualism that they use as a mechanism to maintain control. So it shows when just like when they went out and did this vote, 93%, 98% strong on, we're going to strike. Oh, now it's possible for the voices to come together. Oh, the ears going to perk up a little bit now.
Absolutely. Not only did they have 98% that said strike, that was 98% with 93% turning out for the vote.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that was overwhelming support for the union from the players, right? Every just about every voice spoke up. So that again shows their ability to unite, and that's the thing. That's their power. Their ability to stay as a collective unit as long as possible is their leverage. But walk us into this, Lil. Why do women's sports scare power when it organizes? And how does organized women athletes collapse the illusion of institutional control?
It's just like what's going on politically now. It challenges the traditional hierarchy by proving that women, and especially Black women, can set agendas, they can demand resources and shape public perception. And so that's why you looking at the campaign they running now, the Department of Labor, asking white men to file complaints that they've been discriminated against, which is the most ridiculous thing, that you could ever conceive. But they so afraid of collective action, exposing gaps in the system and dismantling their illusion, that institutions fully in control. They're not. You know, it forces accountability and it reshapes policies, and it shows that dominance and influence are not limited by gender and race. Yes, these women are black and brown, but they have tremendous global influence. And black people overall, we have a unique soft power, what they call soft power. Our whole culture is an amazing phenomenon to the rest of the world. So, you know, organized women, you know, power doesn't like to be challenged at no level. You know, you got a person in the White House that is trying to reassert some colonial imperial type of dominance, you know, all over the globe, and especially in the Western Hemisphere. And he's taking out whole continents. I mean, he's throwing Europe under the bus. You know, he trying to snatch this one. He trying to throw Canada, trying to start a war with Canada. He probably gonna be in a tangle with Mexico pretty soon. I mean, it's just crazy. But the politics are always reflected in sports, and so these same white males that are running the NBA are trying to keep this sharecropping model going with these young ladies in the WNBA, and unfortunately, they're not dealing with the farm hand. These not cotton pickers. These are educated women that understand finance and understand, you know, valuation. And so you're dealing with an educated population, and that's what they fear. You got a lot of women in the WNBA that got masters in finance, masters in economics and stuff like that. So they know what's going on. Then you got a young lady in Collier and Breonna Stewart. They're running a professional league. You know, so you can't come blow no game by them. You know, on this had growth is. They know exactly what's happening because they don't start a league from the ground up, and so they have had to deal with every aspect of a league. So this it was a wonderful thing. I'm glad they thought of it. I'm glad they actually pushed forward to do it. And then another thing about hierarchy, you have a ton of other investors. You're not the richest kid on the block no more. You have other investors from other lands, people with sovereign wealth funds and this, that, and the other that want to get in on this industry. Women's sports is exploding everywhere. Professional leagues are springing up all over. And they're great investment opportunities, you know, because long as you have a paying audience, it's a business that will work.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, listen, another thing though too is the athletes is visible, right? That doesn't mean that they control the story. They just visible. Media league sponsors decide what get amplified. So, again, that emotion becomes attitude, confidence becomes a controversy, Leo, and leadership gets filtered before it's heard. Just keep shooting, keep hooping, keep shooting, keep hooping. Brandon is a double-edged sword. It brings the money and the access and quiet rules. Those rules don't live in the contracts, right? They live in the tone expectations. It's the unwritten part of the endorsements and Brandon that limit behavior, that provide boundaries on narrative. That's how brand becomes both a ladder and a leash, and it depends on who controls the framing. Platforms still hold power, but fans, we shifting that. When athletes and fans align, the narrative control starts to crack, and that's where we can change the story. That's where we can change the story. That hashtag respect our game, pushing back on the algorithms, spending your social media currency wisely, liking and sharing on things that push equity and ownership and black and brown women into the forefront. Why is Brandon a double-edged sword, Leo? And how can it be both freedom and leash? Because two things can be true at once.
Yeah. You know, Brandon gives athletes power to define their image, monetize their platform, and influence their culture. So that's freedom in shaping their career message. But it can also be a leash, you know, because you need sponsors, you need media, you know, and institutions often can dictate what's acceptable, you know, punishing an athlete who speaks out, you know, to challenge norms. The same brand that opens the door can also restrict expression and forced conformity, and you have to be careful like that. This is the first time that these women are coming out of college and into the pros as brands. And so what you want everything to align with the league, and then the league is bringing in, I think they bringing in like $76 million in sponsorship. But the thing is, the league, they get to choose who's gonna do these brands within the people they got supporting them. Even though a young lady may come in, like Angel, for example, came in with a certain brand, they still have restricted her from their major brands, that have aligned with the league. So in that way, they can use that to kind of control an athlete. Even though you may have outside brands, they could make you hustle as opposed to sit back and put together a portfolio like in the way that they promote the men. So that's how it can be both, empowering and limiting.
Who really owns the athlete's narrative when it comes to platform framing and consequences, and how can fans and athletes swing that control?
Well, right now, institution media and sponsors, they frame these athletes' story, and we all seen that. I don't even have to keep going back over that one. And they can control what reaches the public and how it's interpreted. Thank God for social media, because without social media, they would have total control over what you thought of the athlete, this, that, and the other. They continue to saturate your mind with just one person. You'll think that person is the most important person in the room. Might not be true, or they might not even be the most skilled person out there. But if the league decides, hey, this is who we're gonna push, then that's what they do. But fans and the athletes, they can reclaim power by directly engaging with the audience through social media, telling their own stories, their own platforms, having their own podcasts and other collective action, that shape their own narratives, amplify their voices, and challenge any biased coverage you might see coming from places like the league. So the control shifts when the athlete owns the message instead of letting others define it. And this is why I was, happy to see the Stud Buds get their own podcast show. Reese's show was success. And then you see Boston, you see a lot of other people formulating podcasts and stuff like that. So these women are able to tell their own story. And then it's a mechanism like Reese joining the group that she joined. Oh God, name slipped.
Together.
Yeah, right. Together, which was formulated so that women could control their own story. That was the whole purpose of them putting that together. And so when you see somebody like that joining, an organization like that, they have a mechanism of control that can counter these heavily white-owned, male-owned, media outlets that's out here propaganding everybody.
And that's a good point, right? When we talk about how these women are empowering themselves, I just seen it's something now where you can they got the first ever athletes owned media network, Players TV. You can now partner with partner. They're asking for fans to help partner and own in things together with athletes to help tell stories. So you see the partnership coming between, and it's more natural to be between the fan and the athlete, because we're the ones out here we're the ones out here enjoying it, right? We are the ones out here consuming it. So I love that they started to build this bridge and these opportunities to be able to kind of partner between the fans and the players. And I think that's where, again, more leverage comes.
Is that
y'all
Chris
in the
Paul?
chat? Go ahead.
Is Chris Paul? I said, is that Players TV? That's Chris Paul. I think he's leading that. Chris Paul.
Let me see.
I can't think of.
I don't know if I got the
other
names.
two people. But I saw something like that. And I'm gonna tell you something. If these league owners and these people don't pull themselves together, they're gonna find a lot of decentralized athletic leagues springing up. Because
so
I don't need nobody but the fan. I don't need you to micromanage, you know.
So they got, you can buy, they got $5 shares. They got a minimum investment of $1,000. They got over 2,200 investors, and they have, I think they said, over 50 plus athletes. So some of the athletes that I see here is Natasha Cloud, Austin Eckler, Dwayne Wade, Chinea Gumake, Travis Kelce, Vernon Davis, Ariel Powers, Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving. So these are the players here. And then it looks like the co-founder's name is Deron Gildress, but it's kind of covered up. I don't know. Something's going on with the way they website is looking. But, you know, these are the opportunities and these are the things that are springing up. They raised $6.4 million in seed capital. Secure 50 plus athletes and 200 million monthly ad impressions, 300 million devices. And they doing their own thing. You know, they got a bounty hack, shows, drive dreams, views and student car giveaways with their drive to your dreams campaign. So this is a great opportunity where these players are coming together and kind of doing giving back in their own way, in the way that they see fit. And I love it because it's like sometimes they come back and give back in a way that you would have never thought. Ken Griffey Jr., Damian Lillard, also involved. So I'm loving what they're doing here. And it's opportunities for fans to get involved. So I did want to mention that because we always looking for ways to leverage and give back. And how do we take a step up? The media isn't biased; they're indifferent. That's 1,000 times worse. Tell me what you mean there. Because I think they're biased towards corporate. I think they're biased towards corporate and pushing the corporate narrative. So tell me more what you mean right there, KB. That's an interesting statement. Let's talk about it. But let's talk about why this matters beyond sports, right? Because sports, we talk about it all the time. Sports just aren't games; they're mirrors of how power works. Who gets rewarded? Who gets silenced? Who's allowed to lead? Who gets punished? So it doesn't matter. Every whistle, every penalty, every backlash teaches a lesson about hierarchy and control. And that's not accidental. Athletes shape culture, politics, money. That people don't like to admit it, but that's the truth. Athletes shape culture, they shape politics, they take money, they shape money, but they also move markets. They shift narratives and they model leadership for the next generation. So silencing athletes was never about protecting the game. It was about protecting order, not about the game at all. This is about, you need to know the next one that comes through the door need to know what's expected of them when they come through the door, what you can do and what you can't do, what the power law allows and what it doesn't allow. They don't care about the women who built and continue to drive this league. Oh, no. They don't care about that. They care about the owners and the big money, that fuels their narratives and fuels their networks and fuels their storytelling. But when athletes organize and speak Lil and resist publicly, they expand what people believe is possible. Right? It's kind of like Steph Curry, right? It's kind of like the way Steph Curry changed basketball. Steph Curry got everybody that is under 6 foot thinking if they can make 3 or 4 threes a game, that they got a chance at the NBA. People think Steph Curry 5'6". People don't realize Steph Curry like all the way to like 6'3". They think Steph is this little guy, but because he looks little and he looks normal and he looks like one of us, and it's like, man, if Steph can do it, I can do it more so than LeBron. LeBron's 6'8", 250 pounds. Man, I ain't finna be that. Right? Wemby, I'm 7'10". We ain't finna be that. But Steph give me hope. Like, oh man, I make a couple of threes. I'm in that. So I think how do I want to say this? I think that Black women athletes expose the fact that sports are rehearsal spaces for social control, narrative framing, economic pressure, and public discipline, they do it most clearly. When they dominate, organize, and speak freely, pushback intensifies, and it intensifies right away. On social media, I mean, you can tell it in the game. Some stuff happened in the game, like, ooh, as soon as by the time you click on X, it's already 17 posts about it. quicker than men's posts, right? Because again, this is about the preservation of power. So why are sports one of the clearest mirrors we have for how power actually works? And then, Lil, to go with that, how does sports operate as a rehearsal space for broader social control?
Sports, it really reflects the power dynamics, because they show you who is allowed to succeed, who is celebrated, and who is controlled or marginalized. And we've seen Black women marginalized in sports. So sports kind of acts as a rehearsal space by teaching the audience and the participants the rules of obedience, who's in charge, the hierarchy, and how discipline is going to work, what we going to tolerate and what we going to punish. You know, kind of like the Chicago Sky, you know, going to ask you to come and do a interview. Then when you speak truth to power, you know, all of a sudden we got to bring the whip out and give you a half a game punch. I mean, just look ridiculous stuff like that. But sports is so visible, you kind of see how power interacts with labor. You know, so before those lessons are reinforced in the workplace, politics, and culture at large, you see these things happening in sports. I'm telling y'all, you're gonna see whatever happens with this CBA, you're gonna see it resonate across all of the industry in terms of women as a labor force. You know, that's why it is so important to get it right, you know, to do it where these women are shown proper respect, because the climate that we in right now in the workplace, you know, it's all out culture war going on, and it's between the genders, you know. And so we as fans, we got to get in this fight. We have to, in order to help ourselves as labor participants. You know, this is being watched. You got Congress involved. I'm sure they may, you know, eventually maybe have some hearings. You know, there may be some testimony before Congress and things like that. You got antitrust laws. You got the Title VII, and we already see they trying to dismantle the whole civil rights program, you know, which was largely responsible for these workplace protections. You know, it's a claim that they pushing for a civil war, but I think it's going to be an all-out labor war, you know, going on if this country, you know, if this economy crashes and this pressure comes to bear. I don't think it'll be a ICE army or nobody else that's going to stop a labor movement. We need a serious labor movement, all the way to even producing a labor party, you know, because it's ridiculous that the labor is doing all this production and not being properly compensated, you know, in terms of wages, in terms of how you promote it, how you respect it on jobs and different things like that. You know, something needs to be done. So this is a good fight, because the fields has spoke truth to power. You know, nothing she said was out of order, was nothing but the truth. And we've seen how they responded. Now we're gonna see how the battle, you know, I'm just hoping that whoever this union president is, you know, doesn't fold. You know, and then just, you know, it just result in, you know, okay, you got a bump in salaries, but you still don't have no equity, you know, and you still haven't changed the economic sharecropping model. Because what the league is proposing right now is a you know, updated sharecropping model. You know, but they throwing out
just an increase in the minimum wage.
But here's the trick too. but look at the number they put now. Well, we talking about giving them 70%. Then don't forget the next word, net revenue. No, I want 50% of that gross. You get the expenses. They trying to take the expenses and put it on the ladies. I mean, it's just ridiculous the way they just and I think it's disrespectful to an intelligent person, to even propose something like that, and drawing lines in the sand. Well, we're not gonna talk about revenue. That a business is responsible. If you're an employee, you're not paid after expenses. You're paid before expenses. You're paid from revenue, gross revenue.
You are one of the expenses that they got to pay.
Right.
The cost of goods sold, the cost of labor. That's all part of it.
Yeah, you sit around waiting on them to pay, getting paid after expenses. You might not get a check.
Yeah, that ain't how they go. Wait, let's see what we make, and then we'll take care of you.
Yeah,
that's what the bonuses come out of, homie. I got to pay my bills right now. And I see you saying the media is biased, and you saying that as a former journalist. The way they approach stories these days goes against the principles of journalism, to the point that NBC News was like, we got to tell people that they ran a whole campaign. Did y'all see that campaign? They had a campaign and the people come on and they be like, I turned off the news altogether. It's all bullshit. I'm looking for some facts. If they would tell us the truth, they do all that kind of talking, and then they be like, it's something like clarity, calm, facts, or facts, calm, clarity, something like that. But it's like, we're reporting for America. Trust us. Trying to rebuild the trust in the news, like, because people is calling out the bias and calling out the bullshit.
Fact checking them. You can fact check everybody today.
Exactly. Y'all let us know, how do you see the lessons from athletes' resistance translating into other areas of society, like workplaces, politics, community organizing? How do y'all see that going on? Sports is the modern iteration of the bread and circuses. Listen, sports been a circus, ain't it? Ain't it? You gotta tell me what you mean about the bread and the circus of the bread, though. I don't know what you mean on that part. I don't know if it's an autocorrect. Let me know. But I mean, I think the sports has always been a microcosm of what's going on in the world. It's a great, well, not even in the world, but definitely what's going on in this country. It's when you talk about how labor and race mix, labor, race, gender, as well. Even when you just start looking at access to training, to facilities, to even learning how to play certain sports, being able to play certain sports. So just a great microcosm, always a good place to kind of just look and see what's going on with the rest of the world when we look here. Clear example of what you're talking about is when Forbes listed the richest woman in sports. A'ja Wilson was not on it, and she is the face of the WNBA. Oh yeah, I mean they continue to disrespect A'ja on a lot of different levels, and she just keeps doing what she's doing. She just continues to delayed is not denied, and keep smiling in their face. Like, and I don't know if they didn't have her on the list because they didn't want to count her New York Times best-selling money or how she missed. I don't know how she wasn't on the list.
The bottom line is she should have had a prepared portfolio sponsored by the league. There should be no sponsorship corporation out there that A'ja is not a part of as the most prolific person in the league.
Well, so she is the global ambassador of the league, of the junior WNBA.
Yeah, but I need to be the economic ambassador along with that global title. I don't want a title. I want my pockets loaded up. And every sponsor that they have, she should have some kind of endorsement deal with them as the most visible and prolific player in this league. But they got an agenda. They got an agenda, and their agenda is to present this white dominance. But the rest of the world is not interested in that no more. They don't even want to see your face come Olympic time or nothing else. Because they know what time it is. They know who the best player in the world is. She was on display in 2024. Exactly. That's another lesson. But I'm just saying, that's the thing. You want to give these women visibility in the WNBA. Now I need my bank to have some visibility with some dollars in it. You know, I don't want a bump in salary. I want what I deserve, you know, in my bank account. So I don't want the visibility and the economics don't match. You have a visibility system that's got some problems. Then you have an economic system that should have, you know, that you was running in 2 or 3 years after slavery. Same type of system. You know, we work the land, you get all the money. You know, it's just time out for that. And this is it, what they asking for is not radical because you're doing it for the men. And that's where I feel it's discriminatory for me to produce the same product because we're all bouncing a basketball and putting it in a net, regardless of, you know, whether you bringing in billions and I'm bringing in millions, we still doing the same job. I want to be compensated in the same way, you know, and that's the biggest problem. I think, you know, that's what they trying to retard people from understanding. But here at Seth Talk Sports, we're going to make sure that people understand what's happening. Then we expect y'all to go out and teach others, you know, what's happening and what to look at.
Oh, absolutely. And be on the lookout. February is rolling around. We're going to be rolling out some more stories about some of these women that are doing some extraordinary things in other sports that we don't necessarily see. And we got some evergreen content. Go out there, check out the equestrians and NASCAR and golf and some of these other topics that we talked about where Black women are excelling at sports. What do you ladies think about Project B, and do you think it will be successful? So here's what I'll say about it, June. Initially, I was excited. It was like, yo, but it's gone radio silent recently. And it's like, are y'all still signing athletes? What is the status of Project B? I'm concerned that it got quiet. I thought that it could be successful, but it wasn't something that was going to rival the WNBA. And I thought that it was something that Unrivaled should more be thinking about, like, you know, how does this fit with our model here in the U.S.? Because Project B's runtime would be at the same time that Unrivaled kind of would be running in the WNBA offseason. So it could be successful, but I am interested in if there will be a league that will come up and try to rival the WNBA at that same time that it's running its games. And if it goes into a labor dispute, lockout, strike, and it's not ready to go, you got Upshot starting up, but then Upshot is only 4 teams over, you know, they got 40 games with 4 teams. So I don't know if they would, you know, how well they would be able to do initially, but it would be some basketball to watch. But I'm waiting to see some more from Project B. I was excited about the players that they were signing, and it just got quiet. Miss D in the chat.
You don't know if somebody got to it.
Yeah, it's just like, why y'all get so quiet? It was like Camilla got signed, and then it was like, okay, who next? And then it was like, who next? Who next? I ain't heard nothing. So, right, June. I was surprised Asia wasn't on the list. It's telling that she's being undervalued. If society is at risk of a class revolution, give them bread and circuses, they will abandon through thoughts of revolution. Got you. Thank you, KB. Right, and I find this quite insulting to Asia, and to add insult to injury, that Caitlyn, her endorsement deal, $16 million.
A year.
Yeah.
They hooked her up. I mean, she don't, and you think about it, her portfolio is totally connected to the league. That's why she out here talking about some. It should be a compromise on both sides. You know, they be handing her a card. Go say this. You know, this, that, the other, because her whole portfolio is tied to you know, those 4 sponsors.
I'm interested to see how much longer they stay in love with her. Because if she can't get on the court and play, what do it matter? Like, are we still finna keep paying you? Like, I want to know. I'm watching.
They gonna ride with her because of that particular crowd that she brings in. So they gonna ride that as long as.
Here's the thing: is that crowd finna keep showing up if she can't get off the bench? Because I told y'all, remember? Shh, come here close. Everybody, close your eyes. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna do a magic trick. Ready? Abracadabra. I turned into official ambassador last season. Remember? If she can't get off the bench and play basketball, and she didn't play because she was hurt. She didn't play because she was unplayable last year. And there's nothing that she's done that tells y'all that she's gotten better at basketball. There's nothing that she's done that's like, oh man, she really in the gym for the comeback different. The brand of basketball that they played at Indiana that took them further into the playoffs than they would have went was a brand of basketball that she can't play. So now Indiana is at a situation where what are we doing? Will the fans come around to a winning brand of basketball, or do you think they still just want to come see Caitlin sitting on the bench? I don't know. Y'all got to tell me.
No, I think eventually, that hero, great hype, great hope, it will die down if that production doesn't follow. But for right now, it's the climate, the political climate the nation is in that's keeping people even interested in her, and then how the league is playing on that division, in our political climate in this country. How that's how they playing it up.
We're gonna see.
And that's why it continues to flourish. But as we lose our economic position globally, you're gonna have to turn to what works.
And everything that they said, the viewership is gonna go down without her. No, it didn't.
Exactly. People tried to spin that.
The playoffs are gonna suffer if she don't play. No, it didn't. They like, oh, wait a minute. It may be some money here regardless. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Where's the advertisement for the WNBA that features your players, something else that they don't do? Listen, they do a terrible job. They do a terrible job with that. When that woman told you she only see Asia when she give her awards, we knew what time they was on.
Yeah.
Black women in equestrian. Yes. Black women in equestrian. Black women in golf. Black women in NASCAR.
Dominating.
Black women. Yeah. Check them out. We got a video out there.
Killing the golf game.
The players finally have leverage to fight against the WNBA sexism and low money if they stay together.
That's the key thing.
CC doesn't need the money, but other players need to make as much money as possible in 10 to 15 years. She might need some money too. I mean, I don't think she came from money. Long as she puts butts in the seats, they'll pay her. How many times are people gonna keep coming? They buying tickets that she not playing? That's what I want to see. Still happy to see Angel on the list, knowing it was organic engagement that got her there. Nothing was given to her by the league. I'm happy to see Angel on the list.
On hustle. And it shouldn't even have to be.
But the thing is, Asia's hustle is her own too. See, people don't realize Asia got a candle company. Asia's a New York Times bestseller. Asia's got a foundation. What else does Asia have? Besides the shoe collection at Nike. Remember, Asia has set herself up where I think Asia went international one year, and it was like, yeah, I ain't doing that. So she set herself up to be able to be stateside and not play unrivaled if she don't want to. The crowd is becoming restless with CC. She was exposed last season. See, yeah, I think they're getting a little restless too. Like, hey, what you doing? Hope it dies down. I'm tired of Caitlin's demonic ass fan base. Yeah, I think it will. They will milk the collegiate hype just like they did with Tebow. Well, they can try it until the next white hype shows up. Project B, Upshot, Exalt. Those players have leverage. I don't know about Exalt. I'm gonna have to chop. That was a new one on me. Angel's hard work and dedication, determination, personality, good looks that has her making money. Absolutely. Great business decisions. Explain why power wants to control athletes' voices. Is it because collective voices are the ones most effectively able to challenge power, Lil, or what's going on there?
Of course. Anything you do collectively. I tell people all the time, your strength is in numbers. I'm pretty sure they was hoping it was a low turnout for that vote. Oh, they would have ran with that. Power fears collective voices because unified athletes, they can disrupt the status quo. They're exposing inequities, and then they mobilize public opinion. And that's the main thing that the league wants to get a hold on is public opinion. They want to desperately turn these fans against these women and label them as greedy and ungrateful. You know, when you have an individualized voices, it's easier to silence them or marginalize them. You know, but when these athletes speak together, when these young ladies are collectively backing what Nafia is saying, you know, they become harder to ignore, and they create a real threat to that control. So, you know, anything they could do to try to, you know, control these voices and maintain the illusion of authority, you know, will help them prevent any systemic change. And the closest thing I could think to that was Cece coming out with that statement that both sides need to compromise. No, both sides do not need to compromise. We only have one side that needs to compromise, and that's the ownership side. You know, you don't go on TV and say we're not going to use the R word. That's a ridiculous stance, you know, to even start. And then Adam, what you doing running your mouth anyway? I thought you was running the NBA. You know, but evidently you over here running both leagues. But then when the Department of Labor come down and ask you why you running both leagues, watch him ducking. Oh no, it's not like that at all. We just investors. You know, now you back there calling the shot. So you know, like you were saying earlier, Seth, the biggest value that these women have right now is that they stay together, stay unified, and stay demanding, you know, to get what they want, and talking about it in every aspect. You're starting to see more shows, you know, covering the CBA. You starting to see more athletes, you know, speak about the aspects of it. These young ladies need a new economic system in order for this league to expand and grow, you know, but you just got to get some of these hardliners, you know, out the way. I just wish Adam had not come out there and did anything like that, you know. But
I'm actually glad he did. I'm actually glad he did, because get him out the room now, because he's not. He's not out the room. Yeah, right. He's not here. He's not. It's not good faith. Mm-hmm. He's not here working in good faith to try to get to a solution. He's not negotiating in good faith with these women. He came in already with a bias about what he wasn't going to do. That for me, that go on, man. Go on, man. We'll catch up with you. That's what I mean. Female professional athletics have a 10 to 15 year window to make a lifetime worth of money. Okay, I got you. As we get ready to close this conversation, remember that athletes are never just playing the game. They're living symbols of power, resistance, and possibility. And what happens on the court reflects larger battles over voice, leadership, and silence. When we get athletes empowered and brave enough to push back, they model what courage and collective power look like in real time. Today, we ask questions systems avoid, right? Who benefits from athlete silence? Why is excellence tolerated but dominance punished? Who controls the story once an athlete becomes profitable? Why does women's sports organizing make institutions uncomfortable, right? Let me see. And I see y'all in the chat. Let's see. I'm not getting notifications you're live anymore. I don't know, Eric, Gary. I don't know. Unsubscribe and subscribe right back. Or turn off the notification and turn it right back on. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what you do. Turn off the notification, because sometimes YouTube they go and do a little clear out. I don't know why.
But yeah, little algorithm update. I'm glad Adam came out with his business comment. Tebow had a 2-year NFL career that was 2 years longer than his skill set warranted. Remember, Philly built a statue of Rocky Balboa just because he beat Apollo Creed. And that was a damn move. Oh, yeah. Listen, I mean, I get Tebow. I remember Tebow down with the prayer, you know, down in his prayer stance. And listen, he had the looks and he had the storyline. I ain't mad at him. Then Tebow went off and played baseball or something and did something else. You know, Tebow, they just were determined to make him be somebody. Whether he was a football player, a baseball player, a commentator, just something, he was going to be around. I don't know why. I don't know who, I don't know who he made friends with or whatever, but yeah. And this is about his net worth. What's his net worth? So yeah, he was definitely entitled there. But the one thing about Tebow is And I can't take this from Tebow going there and win a game. He ain't had no business winning.
Like that Pittsburgh game.
Oh, Tebow going there and win a game. He ain't got no business there and winning. You like, now, where the hell did that? Now, if we start you, that ain't gonna happen. But put you in at the end, and you'll figure something out. So I get that part. But I want y'all to know that the questions that we ask today don't live only in sports. They show up everywhere power meets labor. Everywhere power meets labor, those questions show up. Truth is simple. Athletes aren't becoming political. They didn't always been political. Neutrality protects institutions, but not people. So when athletes, especially Black and brown women, refuse to shrink, we refuse to apologize, perform gratitude, backlash tells you exactly who the system serves. And it yells it at you. It says that shit loud. Who the system serves. It makes it very clear. So the real question isn't what athletes do next. It is what we do as fans, consumers, as a community, because silence isn't neutral and support isn't passive. Leo, what's your closing thoughts?
Now is the time in this political climate is where the responsibility has to shift to the fans. We are the sports consumers. And we hold the power of the purse. And the power of the purse makes everybody who love money perk up. So if you've learned anything today, let it be this. Power responds to pressure, not applause. Being a fan means more than watching highlights or buying merch. It means recognizing when athletes are being disciplined for telling the truth and deciding whether you'll participate in that discipline or challenge it. So we're asking you to become supporters through active engagement and advocacy. Use your voice, use your platform, use your dollars intentionally. Join us in pushing back against narratives that punish Black women for their dominance and athletes for their agency. Use the hashtag RespectHerGame. We've been pushing that out for a long time to amplify the conversations about fairness, dignity, and ownership in women's sports. Visit the website, www.RespectHerGame.online. Stay connected and join the movement because cultural change doesn't happen in isolation. So up next, look, we're going to go deeper and speak on this tea, athletes and the money trap. We're going to explore the theory that money is supposed to be a tool offering freedom, security, and leverage. But for many Black athletes, it's becoming a trap. And a trap shaped by power, race, labor, and visibility in sports systems that were never designed for Black ownership or autonomy. And that's what needs to change. So that conversation is going to be ongoing to challenge some of the assumptions, so make sure you all join us for that. I think we're going to be rolling that out tomorrow.
Absolutely. And we get ready to wrap up for today. I know we got some hoop coming up at 7 p.m. If you go check out that Texas Tech game, pull up and check that out. But listen, this is it for today's Let's Talk Sports BY's PoliSports Tea Time. Y'all know we pour the tea of truth, one cup at a time. Remember, sports never just about the games we play, but the stories we tell, the systems we expose, and the advocacy fans must engage in to protect athletes. Such your favorite Auntie with Uncle Tendencies and Political Lil, the BY's PoliSports Podcast. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. We out.